Tens of thousands of people participated in anti-government protests in the Serbian capital of Belgrade yesterday. This was the sixth protest after 18 people were killed in two unrelated mass shootings in May in the country. Left-wing and liberal opposition parties gathered in front of the parliament in the city centre and called for the protest. They marched in two separate columns to the government building and chanted slogans like "Vucic out," referring to President Aleksandar Vucic, while holding banners that read "Students Against Violence." Serbia has lately been rocked by two unprecedented gun violence related incidents. On May 3rd, a teenager killed 10 students at an elementary school. One day later, a 21-year-old man killed 8 people in a town near Belgrade. The two unrelated incidents caused nationwide horror as mass shootings are rare in Serbia. The tragedy had sparked a debate about violence in the Balkan country whose history is seeped in decades of crises and conflicts. The protesters have been demanding the resignation of the President Aleksandar Vucic, Interior Minister Bratislav Gašić and Secret Service Chief Aleksandar Vulin, who they blame for failing to bring criminal groups to justice. The opposition has accused the president of fueling intolerance and hate speech during his rule. The protesters are also angry at the media's portrayal of violence. They have accused certain private television stations loyal to Vucic of whitewashing violence and mafia crime, creating what they describe as a climate that encourages violence. They have been demanding the withdrawal of national broadcast licenses for television channels Pink TV and Happy TV and a ban on certain tabloids who they say contribute to create a climate of violence. Serbia's Prime Minister Ana Brnabić had said a few days back that she was willing to resign. She had even invited the opposition parties that have backed the protests to engage in a dialogue. But protest leaders say that they would not speak to the government until all their demands were met. The protests have grown into a wider revolt against a climate of violence blamed on Vucic and his media associates who apparently toe his lines. As far as Vucic is concerned, he has been vehemently denying accusations of fueling intolerance, claiming that opposition groups want him toppled by force. He has been in power for more than a decade now, and he maintains that the government needs to be challenged in an election. In the aftermath of the mass shootings, authorities had introduced gun control measures and had deployed police to schools in a bid to boost a shaken sense of security. These strings of protests pose a challenge to Vucic at a time when he is also faced with tensions at the country's border with Kosovo.